How are you doing there, ladies and gentlemen? So the other day, David Pakman released his opinion on the whole Gamergate debacle, and I guess this video is a kind of personal response to his video, because I'd like to say, Dave, bruv, you had some balls doing that. You had no reason to do it. You know, you could have happily continued being rather impartial and just interviewing people and just letting those, letting those views rack up on your videos. And you didn't have to come out, and you did, and thank you, mate. You know, that's one of the very few times you see an actual genuine honest opinion for no other reason but to give your honest opinion on something, you know. And this should be one time that if anyone has anything bad to say directly to David, just hold it in. Right? If you sit there and you feel the rage bubbling up inside you, I don't know, go put on some Super Smash Bros or something and just get it out that way, because he doesn't deserve any hate, he doesn't deserve any harassment. And for the most part, Dave, I agree with you, mate. I agree with an awful lot that you say, both about those who are pro Gamergate and obviously about those who are anti Gamergate. You know, pro Gamergate is not completely without fault. I do admit that. You know, I'm not so blinkered to sit there and say that, you know, we're perfect, because we're not. And a lot of what you say has to do with a wider discussion on, you know, slacktivism and a discussion surrounding tangible social action and tangible social issues taking place in an abstract reality, you know, that is the internet. The internet does not exist as an actual place for people to meet and talk, and as such may actually cause a lot of the issues and infighting and outside fighting that goes on just simply through the discussion being done in over like 140 characters. But in saying that, there is one particular bit of your video that I would just like to address, and I'm just going to play the video right now just so everyone knows what bit we're talking about.
I only want to talk to the people that are truly honestly concerned about journalistic ethics. Is ethics in video game reviews the #1 issue? No, it's not. And when I think about water shortages in California and in different parts of the world and possible wars over water resources, when I think about foreign policy and war and what's going on with ISIS and what's going on with American imperialism and all of these issues, climate change, education, we have religious nuts rewriting textbooks in Texas to do revisionist history with a religious worldview. Money in politics. Money in politics is ruining our democracy, essentially. Space travel. I mean, we're talking now about a contract for Boeing and SpaceX to shuttle American astronauts to the International Space Station. We're talking about a Mars mission. The corporate media being increasingly bad and untrustworthy and influenced by advertisers. That's a bigger issue than journalistic ethics in video games. Right-wingers trying to control women's bodies and saying, you know, if you want to have an abortion, a legal medical procedure, we as politicians are going to mandate that you have a transvaginal ultrasound. Incarceration and the war on drugs. That to me matters more than journalistic ethics in video games. Does this mean that for a second I think that journalistic ethics is not a problem, that there isn't corruption or collusion in video games? Of course not. Absolutely not. I've made it absolutely clear that that clearly does exist.
And again, mate, I completely and utterly agree. Okay, there are a lot more bigger issues in the world than gaming, than video game journalism, than this whole Gamergate debacle, really. But that's not to say it's not without its merits as a discussion within society. And I'd like to posit this idea that there are three main types of people involved in Gamergate, you know, on the pro Gamergate side. And I may be wrong, but again, these are just my opinion, you know, my opinion against your opinion kind of thing. So one of the sort of people will be young people, funny enough, you know, people who have not really been exposed to worldly issues before, and this is the first time that any real social issue has affected them. And yeah, you're right, there are such things as water shortages and all sorts of craziness that are going on in the world, and you know what, they may not even know about it. They may not be into that at all, and you sit there and you go, but it's a big thing, why aren't you? And the simple matter is that they're just not. They just don't find these things out. You know, people like me, people like you, people like a lot of people in Gamergate, you know, will read stuff, I say in Gamergate, but outside Gamergate, a lot of people in the world will read stuff, will read around stuff, will click on hyperlinks when they see hyperlinks be taken to new parts of the internet where they'll find out, what's going on in the world and just how fucked up it is. And these are young people who are literally just starting to really formulate their own opinions, really start becoming the people that they are. And this is one of the first issues that has touched them and that they've really looked into and kind of formed an opinion on, for better or worse. We don't quite know yet, but that's what's happened. Now, the next lot of people are people who really don't care. They genuinely don't give a flying fuck about what's going on in the world. They have built up their own world and they are happy and content with the life of luxury they have. That's not to say that they are inherently evil. I mean, granted, you could have a whole big discussion on what is evil and what actually isn't. But these are people who have made a decision to live their life how they want. And that is how they have decided to live their life. And you can't really blame them for that. And maybe what they start seeing are, these outside forces trying to project social issues into their hobby that just don't belong, through no other reason but to promote an agenda and through personal gain. That's one of the reasons I think it is the fact that you have a load of people who are trying to push this idea of, misogyny in gaming through no other reason but to just get more clicks, get more money, push their book sales, push their speaking events and stuff like that, and invent a narrative surrounding an issue that might not fully exist or exist to such a level as they're trying to demonstrate. Now, the third sort of person that I honestly do believe makes up the bulk of Gamergate is your average bloke. Your guy who wakes up in the morning every day and is thrown into a world of absolute chaos. Sits on the train in the morning reading the newspaper and sees just how shit the world is. Listens to radio going to work and just hears nothing but absolute atrocities all day, every day. And that's the sort of person I am, Dave. As I said, I understand all the issues that you raise, and I know that it's shit. I know that the world is shit, but the thing is, I am powerless to change it. I am absolutely powerless to change the world. I am just a guy, just living in North London trying to make the best of a bad situation. And that's what I think a lot of people in Gamergate are. These are people who are just apathetic. They've just been beaten and ground down so much by the world. They have more immediate concerns, such as paying their own bills and raising their own kids and dealing with their own health issues, that they try and find it really, really hard to affect positive change on the world. And for them, gaming is their primary form of escapism, and it is their primary community, and it gives them a sense of togetherness in a world that is continually showing how fractured it is. And the thing is, on the 28th of August, that reality, that world, that community was also fractured as the gaming identity was declared dead. And I need to put up a video about it, but that is what I think was the true ethical transgression against gamers. It was something that this form of escapism, this last bastion of things that were fun in the world was absolutely destroyed. And not only that, since August the 28th, those who do identify as gamers have been equated to just the most evil, sick, horrible people that the world can imagine. We have been compared to terrorists. That's the truth of it. The boogeyman since 2001, we are as bad as that, And it was quite simply the final straw for people who were apathetic and disenfranchised by the world. And it is when they rose up and they said, and I am going to use a quote from one of your comments because this is perfect. These individuals rose up and they said, if I can't even fix video game journalism, what the hell can I fix? So you're right, David. In the whole grand scheme of things, Gamergate really isn't that important. It really doesn't matter. But to these individuals who are in Gamergate, it does. It means a lot. It means more than you can grasp, it seems. And that ain't having a go or anything. I'm just talking, mate. But it seems to be very, very personal to these people. And that's where the anger comes from. The fact that it was something so personal. And it was seemingly taken away by people who we thought had our backs. These people were the people who should have been tackling actual ethical breaches by the AAA companies. It was these journalists who should have been doing that work, but instead they chose to take their time and dismiss their audience. They chose to sit there and just absolutely decimate people who just enjoy a bit of escapism. So the one question I have to you is, what does David Pakman do when he's had enough of the world? Maybe you do a bit of golfing, bit of gardening, bit of cooking. I just want to know, how would you feel if that activity that you enjoyed, that activity that you absolutely love, that activity when you sit there at 3 in the afternoon and you've just had enough of everything and you go, I can't wait to get home and do this. What if that made you honestly one of the most nastiest, horrible, disgusting people in the world? How would that make you feel, David? Because I can tell you from personal experience, it's kind of shit. Anyway, that's my feelings, mate. I wish you all the best, and I hope you continue putting out videos, especially on Gamergate, and I hope you don't get too much hate off of your video, because honestly, mate, I thought it was fantastic.